Right. Hello, everyone in the Illuminated Authors group. It's me, Andre, your host, coach, and guide to all things writing and book related. So we have a surprise interview today. I would have given you guys some fair notice, but this interview was actually scheduled to be in a different group. However, I figured it would be a great idea to bring it to you guys first and foremost, because you guys are my favorite people in the whole wide world. So I am live today with Raven, who is super talented and highly powerful in the spiritual and intuitive world. And she's going to share with us a little bit about her background and what she does and how it can benefit you as someone who wants to tap into your intuition, utilize your gifts, and start making really impactful decisions. So without further ado, because I don't know if I'm actually doing her any justice or not, I will let her introduce herself. Raven, how are you today?
I am blessed and highly favored, doing fabulous. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So, like you said, my name is Raven Canty. I am a prophetic life coach. So basically, I have very special gifts that come from the Most High God. I am prophetic. I am clairvoyant. So I have the ability to see into the future. And so, what I do with my gifts is that I use my gifts of foresight and combine it with very practical guidance to give people very critical clarity in matters of love, spirituality, and career. So when I say that I'm prophetic and clairvoyant, most people are intuitive. We all have the ability to tap into our intuition. So most people have maybe one or two intuitive channels. I have several. So clairvoyance, that's kind of a general term that basically means that you have the ability to see into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may call that like a gut feeling or an inner knowing. One of my favorite gifts is clairaudience, meaning that I hear spirit or I hear the divine. So, how I describe that, you know, how you have a thought and you can kind of hear your inner monologue.
Mm-hmm.
So clairaudience, it's almost like you hear an external thought that you know is not your own. And I hear things like names, places, very specific things. So I'm clairaudient. I'm also clairsentient, meaning I get chills and twitches and touches. So if I'm doing an intuitive session and my spirit guides are around, they will give me like a light tap on my shoulder or a little twitch in my arm to confirm that I'm accurate.
Wow.
I also, one of the most powerful tools of intuition is synchronicity, which is the concept of meaningful coincidences. So I have a video called Godfavor on my YouTube channel. My YouTube, if you guys want to check me out, it's Black Pearl Gems. The name of my company is Black Pearl. So I have a video called Godfavor where I talk about synchronicity as well as a lot of the other channels that I mentioned. So synchronicity came to me after, I want to say, a very traumatic domestic violence incident, at which point my intuition catapulted and I started seeing an abundance of personalized license plates. And so it
Okay.
was very eerie and it was very strange because I started seeing the same messages, like duplicate messages on multiple cars. So the timing of it and the repetitive messages on license plates pretty much let me know, like, okay, something's going on here. And also the information that I got, you know, it was accurate and it led me to a lot of cool discoveries. So also I'm an intuition development coach. So I teach others about all this crazy stuff that I'm talking about. And I teach other people how to tap into their intuition.
Well, that's fantastic. First off, thank you so much for sharing this about your background. I mean, there's so much there to unpack already with just the various different gifts. And, you know, for anyone who's kind of new to the intuitive space, these might be new terms: clairvoyant versus clairaudient, versus clairsentient, and how that affects people. And then to my next question, of course, was, do you teach this to other people? So yeah, so here's a question for you. I got kind of two questions floating in my head now.
Sure.
Um, the first one being, would you say that your experience with this intuitive guidance is different from how others experience it? kind of in your body versus how others do?
Absolutely. It's different because I have so many different channels, and it's different because it's very in your face and very profound. So, my first, like I said, my first kind of aha moment was the synchronicity. I'm actually extremely logical. And so, the reason why my spirit guide sent me the license plates, because it was literally in my face. It wasn't like a feeling or a thought, it was like, in your face, you can't deny it. So the reason why I titled my video God Favor was because that's one of the license plates that I saw
Mhm.
repeatedly. I don't know how many times I've seen it. So I would see God Favor, maybe it would be GODFVR. Then the next time, instead of the V, it would be a 4. Then another time, it might be on a white car and it's spelled all the way out, but it's literally the same message on multiple cars over and over and over. So, being the logical, educated person that I am, I was like, okay, what are the chances that I would see this same message on multiple different cars? Sometimes it would be multiple times within a day. So, I'm just minding my business and I'm turning my head and I see God favor. Like, and then 2 hours later, I'll see it on a red car and it's just driving past. This is not something that I would, try to look for. It would just come to me. So I
Mhm.
would say that it's very different because it came to me so in your face. And I believe that's why God gave me this gift, because I have a way of explaining it logically. And the little video that I put together, it kind of really breaks down the storyline. And I have pictures of all these different license plates and messages, and it's really, really cool. So yeah.
No, I think that's really awesome. And I mean, I've worked with a lot of different intuitives, whether they are kind of more symbolic and they work with tarot, or they work directly with energy and energy healing. And they get messages in so many different ways. So it's awesome to kind of hear how you experience it. I consider myself like mildly intuitive. I say mildly because I think I don't always pay as much attention as I probably could or should. Um, but even when I'm writing, there's a certain element of intuition that kind of I can always tell when it's something that is me versus something pushing me. Like, I've written 2 books that are on this shelf here, and neither of them were on my plan to write at the time. And they popped into my head as like moments of inspiration. And I'm like, no, that's not, I'm not doing that. But by the time I kind of got to about a weekend, I'm like, yeah, I think I could do it. And so when I wrote the second one, I'm like, I know exactly what this is. I'm probably gonna end up writing this book in about a week and a half.
That's
I can tell the
awesome.
difference between, my own thoughts versus, all right, here's your next assignment, sir. So
Hmm.
the next question I have for you is, how do you manage to teach this to somebody? How do you teach intuition?
So everyone, like I said, has multiple different channels. So usually when I teach an intuition development class, I do it one on one so that I can really focus on the person's specific gifts. So, like I said, most people have maybe one or two really strong channels. I have like all the channels. So, depending on where the person is, I will guide them based off of what they already know. So, I have clients that are very timid and kind of nervous about it, and maybe they're having prophetic dreams. I have a superstar client. She has prophetic dreams, and she was a little afraid of them because sometimes she would predict things that were sad, like people crossing over and things like that. So,
Mhm.
the first thing that I do is assess where you are with your intuition. What do you know about your intuition? How did you decide that you're intuitive and you want to learn more? So, most normal people have dreams, they start out with dreams. Other people, they start seeing synchronicity. So, for me, I see license plates is very in your face. Other people, their synchronicities might be angel numbers. So, for
Mhm.
example, every time you look at the clock, it's 222, and you're like, why do I keep seeing 222? Or you are looking at a license plate and maybe it says 4444, and you're like, why do I keep seeing twos? Why do I keep seeing fours? Um, Other people, they are really advanced in their spirituality, but they're afraid to talk about it because they don't want to seem weird or strange. So another one of my rock star clients, she actually was at her job and she saw her coworker's face morph
Hmm.
into a different face. And so we talked about it and she couldn't figure out what it meant. So by consulting with my spirit guides, I was able to let her know, hey, you were actually seeing your coworkers past life. So depending on what you believe in, everybody has multiple incarnations. So when she looked at her coworker and her face changed, she was actually seeing her coworker's previous life form in another life.
Mhm.
So I usually teach people based off of what they are experiencing. And then I confirm that what they're experiencing is valid and I explore it even more. So one of the things that I've been doing a lot too is like clarifying dreams. So people will have these crazy dreams. And sometimes dreams are symbolic. Not everything you see in your dream is like that's exactly what's going to happen. Other times
Right.
it's like, no, you had that dream. That's what's going to happen, sis. You're right. So I really walk people through their gifts, what they're experiencing, and I clarify it. And then I give them the tools as far as how to gain their own clarity and how to move forward with those gifts.
Well, that is so amazing, and I love that you focus on where people are with their gifts currently and with their level of awareness. So one thing that I don't talk about a whole lot is, again, like I am mildly intuitive. I used to be much more, depending on how we're gauging it. I might say in some areas I'm more intuitive now than before. But one thing that used to come up for me a lot was actually dreams. I remember when I was younger, real young, actually, I used to sleep in the living room on the floor because I was too afraid to sleep in my own bedroom at the time. There was a spider in there one night and I just refused to go back. But I was sleeping on the living room floor at my grandma's house. And at the time she was in her mid to late 70s, I think. But she had gone out that morning, early that morning, either to get the newspaper or take the trash, something super normal. And here I was on the floor asleep. And I remember I was in the middle of a dream and all of a sudden everything in the dream changed. And it like went straight white. And then I just saw her on the ground crawling and like, Grandma, what are you doing on the ground? And she's calling me and I'm over here trying to get to her to help her up and whatnot. And here I am in this dream trying to get to her. Next thing you know, my sister wakes me up. She's like, Grandma's outside and she fell and she's crawling and calling you. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like
Wow.
that to me was like my first kind of indicator, like, what? And people are like, you saw this? I'm like, yeah, I was trying to go help her. And then Cheryl woke me up. I'm like, okay. So there's something there. And, my dad, he's very prophetic. He considers himself a prophetic musician, which is a whole other conversation. But the gift is there within our bloodline. So I love that you kind of focus there. And you mentioned angel numbers. That's something that I'm known to see all the time, angel numbers. So anyway, getting back on track. So what makes you passionate about doing this work with people?
What makes me passionate is that I have been called. I
Mm.
actually had a very unique spiritual journey to get to this point now where I'm calling myself a prophetic life coach. I'm passionate because like I said, the aha moment was after I had a really traumatic incident which catapulted my intuition and it just started coming to me to the point where I couldn't deny it. So after the license plates, I had a friend, her name is Erica. She's such a sweetheart. And she was like, you should really start using your gifts professionally. You should start helping people. And so at the time, she calls herself like a psychic intuitive reader. So she uses tarot cards and oracle cards, which are tools of divination. So at the
Mhm.
time, I just felt like that was kind of weird. I was like, tarot cards, like Miss Cleo, like what in the world is that? Like, I just thought it was weird. I just knew that I had a gift, but I didn't really understand using divination tools because my
Mhm.
channels just came to me naturally. So she invited me over to her house. And I want to say within 2.5 days, she trained me on how to use tarot and oracle cards. And it was very natural, it was very organic. And then she gave me the name of a website. So I started doing, readings on this website. So after I did the readings on the website, I started gaining that confidence and really helping people and getting that feedback to know that I was accurate. So when I first started, I was nervous and I'm like, well, what if I tell somebody and it's not real or it's not true and no, I mean, I just got such amazing positive feedback from my clients and they were just so grateful and positive. So helping other people and seeing the impact that it had on their lives is what made me so passionate about helping others. I want to brag on my client real quick. I love to brag on my clients because they're also blessed and highly favored. So, like I said, I started out, very logical person, and just through seeing these patterns and getting the feedback, I was like, okay, I have a gift. So one of my clients, she's so blessed. She had multiple job offers and she couldn't figure out what job she wanted to pick. That's a very good problem to have. Okay. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So the fact that she had multiple job offers, praise God, that was just amazing for her. So what I did for her was I went through each job and I was able to look at the outlook, look at the pros and the cons. So some of each job had something that was a little raggedy, okay?
Mhm.
But depending on which job we were talking about, one of them we saw conflict with upper management. Another one we actually saw a potential health scare. I saw a COVID outbreak. She's a teacher, and I saw that one of her schools was going to get a COVID outbreak. So that was like, okay, no, that's the reason why I should choose the other one. So we went back and forth. We did about an hour session, and we finally were able to land on what was the best fit for her. Now, with intuition, there's not really a right or wrong answer. It just allows you to see things that you can't normally see. So if you know, hey, this job is great, this job is great, but here there's a potential health scare, or here there's drama, you probably will want to pick another option. So that makes me passionate, being able to help other people, so she was able to select the appropriate job. She walked in confident. She messaged me back like, hey, thank you so much. I'm so happy we had our session. And, she picked the right job for her. Other times I see things, I'm also a medium. Like I said, I have a lot going on. I'm also a medium. So not only do I see spirits that have crossed over, I also see spirits that have not yet come into the world yet. So I see
Mm.
spirits. So I'm super passionate again about helping others. And I talked about this too on my YouTube channel. If you guys, please go check out my YouTube, Black Pearl Gems. But one of my clients, she had a sibling, a little brother, and he unfortunately crossed over when he was a very small baby. And so I was doing a general session, and her brother popped up in the oracle cards. I kept seeing like, who is this child? Like, I see a child. And as I was giving the session, I started crying, my eyes started burning, and the baby spirit started to show me visions of her mom's grief and how sad her mother was. And
Mm.
the spirit of the child basically came through to say, hey, you guys have been grieving over me. You guys have been so sad, but here I am floating off into the afterlife, and you guys haven't really nurtured me and sent me any love. And it was such a powerful moment because it helped her heal. It helped her shift her mindset from grief to
Mhm.
appreciation and love. And that was something that she hadn't really thought about as far as how she perceived that loss. So it was a super healing moment, and I was so happy to help her. And then also I want to say I've successfully predicted 8 pregnancies. Okay. So yes, I love mommies. I'm a mom too. So women, that maybe they weren't expecting a child, or maybe they were expecting a child and they just didn't know when it was coming. I can say, hey, there's like a little baby spirit floating around. It's coming in. So just being able to help others and
Mhm.
guide others with serious things like loss, childbirth, and then things, like I said, blessings, like, oh my God, I have so many job offers. Which one do I pick? That's what makes me passionate, being able to help other people and see them live their lives the best way possible.
Right. I love that. And you got me ready to ask a ton of different questions. I mean, there's
Ask
so
away.
many different tangents I could go up in there, as I'm a bit of a spiritualist myself. I mean, I have 2 whole bookshelves uh, of various books on dream interpretation, tarot reading, intuition. Like that's my secret hobby. I'm a closet wizard. Um, but aside from that, I really want to kind of touch on something that I didn't bring up before, but so this group, Illuminated Authors, is full of game changers, really impact makers, people who want to use their words and their stories and their personal gifts to make a difference in the world and the people around them. These are people who want to help, and they've chosen in one aspect or another to write books. And so one of the things that I teach within my program is kind of intuitive writing, where you allow yourself to kind of co-create your book with source, with spirit. There's a part of you that knows what you want to write. Then there's the part of you that like unconsciously knows and has to just kind of be a channel and deliver that. If someone wanted to be able to tap into that side of themselves more consciously or deliberately before a writing session, do you have any kind of advice for that type of person to kind of open themselves up to be a channel for their own self?
Absolutely. And also, Andre, just to let you know, I want to become an author. I'm an excellent writer, and one of the license plates that I keep seeing is author, big book. So that's actually in my video too. Check it out. But it says author, big book. So we need to talk after this. So maybe you can give me some guidance. But absolutely, one of the best ways you can use your intuition to write, there's actually a divination technique called automatic writing. That's one of the things that I teach. So I do that in different ways. I close my eyes and just kind of scribble. Sometimes I'll just scribble. It's not even words. And I'll look at the scribbles, and then through another technique called scrying, which is almost like being able to see images within images. I'll look at the scribbles and I'll see images and I'll get messages from that. Also, you can just start to write, and it's almost like through a combination of hearing and writing, you'll start to write random words, but those words are messages.
Mm.
A couple of other techniques as far as writing, and these are things that I teach in my intuition development classes. You can use things to help amplify your intuition. So one of my favorite things to use is herbs. My
Mm.
favorite, a couple of my favorite herbs, I use them in my tea, elderberry, black seed, and hibiscus. So I pretty much
Ooh.
use equal parts, like maybe a teaspoon of each in about 2 cups of water. That is a really good way. If you sip some tea before you write, or before you do an intuitive session, or before you pray, or before you meditate, those herbs will definitely give you an intuitive boost. And also crystals. I had, you know what, I'm gonna put it on. I was like, I don't want to be extra today, but since you asked, I'm gonna put it on to answer the question. Okay. Yes, I wear crowns because I'm a queen. I walk around, and in professional settings, I wear crowns because that's me.
And I
So
actually have
this,
a point about that. I think that's so powerful. I mean, for one, herbs and teas, like that's my jam. I'm drinking tea right now. I
yeah,
have a whole cabinet full of different herbs,
yes,
in them, elderberry. I'm all out of at the moment, but I've got my little witch's cabinet there. And I
yes,
love
I
that you
love
put on
it.
your crown. One of the reasons why I'm actually dressed up, I wasn't dressed up about 10 minutes before our call. I was being lazy, but I find that for myself at least, getting into character, putting
Yes,
on the, as my grandma used to put it, put on the robe of the person you want to embody. You know, when I see myself
absolutely.
like writing a book, after become that author for a moment while I'm writing, and that kind of helps me tap into who that person is. So this is my interview host get up.
Yes, get into wardrobe. I love it. Yes, absolutely. But so the crown, right? So I love crystals. I'm a crystal queen. I also make jewelry. I make crystal healing jewelry, and I'm also a metalsmith. Super random, but definitely divinely guided. So this crown that I'm wearing, it's a citrine crown. Citrine is a stone of abundance, and it's also a stone that will open up your third eye. Also, the placement of it is on my head. So, being that the crown is on my head, it's super amplifying my third eye and my crown chakra. So, if you really want to get into creative writing, or just being open to allowing creative energy to flow through, you might want to check out some crystals. And the placement of crystals is very important. So if you don't want to wear a crown like me, you can simply sleep with like an amethyst. When you go to sleep, you can put it under your pillow. You can simply hold it in your hand. I also have a necklace that I made, and it has chrysocolla and an amethyst here. So it's not right on my crown, but it's still around my head area. So it's going to open up my throat chakra. It's gonna tap into my third eye and my crown and just allow that creative energy to pour out. And another thing you can do if you want to get into writing or automatic writing, or writing a book or anything like that, always set your intentions before you do anything. So before you start, you can simply speak it out. You can pray, you can do a chant. I work with clients from all different religious backgrounds, so all those words are very synonymous to me. But you can just say, Spirit, I ask that you allow divine creative energy to flow through me as I write this book. I ask that this book touches the souls of many. I ask that you allow me to walk in my purpose for the highest good. I'm very big on affirmations and speaking. So what you speak will determine the energy and will kind of give you that creative vibe so you can push through your projects.
Absolutely. And for anyone who's watching, and I'm going to make another interruption here.
Yeah.
The reason I reached over and pulled this book off the shelf. So this is a book that my dad wrote, Andre Smith Sr. It's called What Do I Do Now? The Honest Guide to Walking in Your Purpose. He is a Christian author, and it's got a Christian spin to it. But we worked on this book together. And one of the things that some people may not know about it is that there are parts of it that I had to do some really heavy edits on because the content wasn't fully complete as the time got around to it. And in that, there were moments where I had to interpret what he was saying and where he was going with certain ideas that kind of got left out, and restructure the book in a way that captured his message that he was channeling. Because we did a Zoom meeting like this, and we dictated the book and had it recorded, and I took the audio. So he was channeling in a sense. And then I had to take that and then tap into that. And so I had to really take moments and pray it out beforehand and say, God, help me to hear the message that's here, to see it, and to tap into this higher purpose, to get beyond my own periphery, to tap into something that's beyond me, to deliver this message and hold it sacredly. And that's the only way this book was only going to get done, was if I were able to kind of to find it and tap in, kind of like you've said. And I just, anyone who's watching, like, she's got some really great advice here. Intuition is something that's very powerful in writing. And sometimes that setting intentions alone can really change not just your energy within, but the energy around you, and allow for support, if depending on what you believe, but allow for that support to be there for you. In my experience, when you ask, it's already there, it's already given. You will get the resources, you'll get the people, you get the support that you are looking for, that you actually need. So we're getting close to time here. Technically, we are over time, but we've been having such a good conversation. I really want to kind of ask a couple more questions and wrap this thing up. So the next question I have for you is thinking about those who may or may not be used to working on an intuitive space. If you had one bit of advice for like someone who wanted to tap in a little bit more or wanted to explore, what's one thing that someone watching this could do today to learn how to start hearing their intuition, or even to distinguish intuition?
So the best piece of advice I would give anyone that is looking to learn more about intuition is to just be completely open-minded. I work with a lot of Christian clients, and when I get them alone on that 1 hour session, the things that they tell me they've never talked about because they feel that it's strange or their intuition scares them. So, like you were talking about that dream you had about your grandma, and then it happened. That scares people. So you have to be open-minded and do not be afraid. I believe in God. My gifts come from God, and I say that repeatedly. So we are made in God's image. And so God is a very powerful being, and we have gifts that come from God or that come from spirit, source, the universe, what have you. And it's okay to tap into that. Don't be afraid of your power. Don't be
Mm,
afraid to open your mind and, believe and trust that what you're seeing is real. A lot of people get frustrated because they're confused or they don't know how to make the right decisions, but all of your answers are within you. And when you just ask the Most High God, He will deliver. So if you're confused, if you're scared and you don't know what to do, because I work with a lot of people, they're just like, well, I keep getting these messages that I need to talk to my spirit guides, but I don't know how to find them. Where are these spirit guides at? And it's like, well, you have to ask. Just simply ask and let the universe know that you're ready to receive guidance. Once you
mhm,
ask, spirit, your guides, God, the angels, your ancestors, they will come through. And after you ask, don't be afraid and pay attention. So, not everyone has the gift of clairaudience where spirit will start speaking to you. And quite frankly, that was the gift that came later in life because spirit knows, look, I'm Black. I don't really play a whole lot of weird, creepy things. I was just like, what in the world? But once you once you stop being afraid, then spirit will speak to you in the way that you understand. So once
mm,
you release fear, once you open up and say, okay, I'm ready, then you will start to see that it's everywhere. So pay attention. Your spirit guides might not talk to you because they might know, if I start talking to Andre, he might throw a book at me. He might say, get up out of here. I'm not playing that. So your guides might send you dreams where you're in a place of subconscious and they can just slip through. Other people like me, like I said, I'm very logical. So I was just like, okay, this is weird. Why do I keep seeing the same thing? But it just became a thing of being open. So when you're open, your spirit guides will come through. Just start to pay attention, document, and just be open to learn. So that's
mm.
my best advice.
Awesome. And the last question I have around intuition, I mean, we could have a whole talk on intuition. Maybe one of these we'll have another interview or just a conversation about intuition on my main channel. But
Yeah,
anyway,
sure.
um, for this conversation, one thing that often comes up in conversations around intuition and utilizing intuition, whether it's in writing, in business, in life in general, is how do I know I'm understanding the message correctly? How can I fine tune it and make sure I'm hearing it right? Like, how do I make sure I'm making the right choice or understanding it right? What's one way that someone can start to know that they're getting the right message?
So you can start by, like I said, setting those intentions and being very specific as far as what you're asking for. So you can almost, I don't want to say play, yeah, but kind of like play a game with your spirit guide. So let's say you're looking for a job and you want to know like, hey, what's the right field I should go into? So you can determine if you're right by starting to ask very specific questions and then waiting to receive the answers. So if I say, hey, spirit, I want to know, what's my next job move? So I'm going to ask a very specific question, and then I'm going to start to look and, like I said, be open so that I can receive those answers. I always tell people to take a dream journal or a notepad or a notebook and just document your experiences. So if you ask that question about a job and then you go outside and maybe you see a license plate, another way that synchronicity works, like let's say you're at Starbucks and you're in line. This actually kind of happened to me once, sort of. Like you're in Starbucks, you already asked your question to spirit, okay, I want a new job. What kind of job will I get? So you go to Starbucks and then you overhear a lady talking about, oh, I just started a new job as a product manager. And it's like, oh my goodness, that person, people are messengers too. People are messengers of spirit. So that person that just so happens to say that, that's a message for you. And then after you get those messages, act on the messages. Okay,
Mhm.
I was minding my business at the Starbucks. I asked my spirit guides what kind of job am I supposed to get. And the lady at Starbucks said she just got a job as a product manager. Let me go and apply for that job and see what happens. Also, too, especially for me, like I said, because I have so many different channels, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. That's why I have a lot of people that are very logical. And a lot of my friends will tell you, like, I'll guide them through deep childhood trauma and, and then I'll ask for like basic help, like, okay, I need to organize my files, or like, I need to do this paperwork. Like, I need help with very small things because I get so many different things that sometimes I get overwhelmed. So the best way to not get overwhelmed is to simply trust what you see and know that there's not always a right or wrong answer.
Mm.
Sometimes I see multiple different possibilities. So if I ask spirit, okay, what am I supposed to do for a job? They're going to say, okay, well, you're doing your jewelry, you're a metalsmith, you're a prophetic life coach, you're an intuition development coach. I'm also a marketing consultant. So spirit might tell me 5 different things. So if I'm not aligned with spirit, I might get confused. So I can say, all right, spirit, well, you gave me 5 different options. What do I need to do first? What do I
Mhm.
need to focus on right now? And sometimes focusing on what you need to do first or what you need to do now, that will help kind of clear out of the confusion. Because once you actually start to see, like, okay, I'm not crazy, I'm intuitive, you might start to get overwhelmed. And you're like, okay, I know I'm right, but I'm getting so many answers. So just focus on one thing at a time and learn how to narrow down the answers that you get. And then also act on the messages that you get and document it. So if you get guidance to do this, do it and see what happens. If spirit tells you to make a new friend or message someone, do it and see what happens. And after you start acting on your intuition, then you'll be able to build that confidence as far as how to navigate through life using your gifts.
Absolutely, 100%. I think that's a perfect place to stop. As much as I would love to keep going, I know you've got some great insight, and I can testify to it. This is how I've gotten to where I am. This is how I make my decisions in life. And honestly, there's so many more avenues we could dive into with intuition, making decisions, tapping in, and even with writing. Like, our conversations are not done, but for
Yes.
today, we'll close it there. To anyone who watched live, thank you. Listen, we got a couple of comments from Monica and Armando. Thank you guys for being here. If you did not catch this live, but you want to catch the replay, don't worry, it'll be here. Feel free to drop your comments below. And last question for you, Raven, would be, where can people find you after this broadcast?
So if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, my name is Raven Archangel. First name Raven, last name Archangel. You can also visit me at my website, which is www.blackpearlgems.com. So gems with a G. And let's see. And then my YouTube. I would love for you guys to check me out on my YouTube. I do intuitive readings for the collective, and I also talk about great things like how we're talking about now, intuition. Black Pearl Gems. That's the name of my YouTube channel.
Fantastic. And do us all a favor. I know this meeting got moved into the group, but I'll make sure I add you into the group so you can actually
Yes.
leave your information. But once you get added into the group, drop your information below. Guys who don't know, this was originally planned for another group, but I wasn't an admin there, guys. So I forgot I couldn't do it. So we moved over here. So this was all unplanned. Thanks, technology. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Raven, for being here with us. I really appreciate your time and look forward to more conversations. We will talk more about intuition. We'll talk more about your book and all kinds of great things. Thank you for being here, and thank you all. You have a fantastic rest of your day. Looking forward to hearing from you all soon. Take care and bye.